Warning, the following podcast is intended for immature dads only. Listener discretion is advised. This is Dad's Game Review, the most casual hardcore gamers around. Reviews and news from every platform. We waste our time so you don't have to.
What's up, kids? Welcome to another episode of Dad's Game Review. A week later. That's right. Kicking it back to the days of old Johnny Boy.
Back to back.
These once a week.
I
As
just feel like
always,
that, I just
I'm
feel like that was
joined
that
by
too much
man. What's that?
I was just saying, I just felt like that every week was like too much to keep up with. How can we even get into the games?
Oh, yeah.
But you know, they can't all be gems like what we played this week. So
that was never originally when I moved to California. That wasn't my idea. My idea was, how am I going to find somebody, I could do remotely like I'm doing with you.
right.
But a lot of people that I was doing it from New York were like, I don't know, man. I really don't have much to say. Like they were very opinionated, but they wouldn't want to say it on the mic. So then after a while, that's when I met John. But John, I literally grew up next door to.
Really?
And I forgot he was in California now.
Oh,
And
okay.
I found him on Twitter or Facebook or something. And we just started talking. And I said, would you want to do this with me? And it was his idea to do it weekly.
Okay. Yeah, you don't play enough game to like even go into a game weekly. What? Where
Right.
did that come
Sorry.
from?
My
Hold on, are we
finger hit
dancing?
the
Did it just get 90s mode in here? Josh is dancing on YouTube. What the fuck?
my finger hit the button. I was just sorry. What were you saying? You don't get
I don't even know. You just broke my brain. Don't interrupt the thought process.
Yeah.
I'll spiral. So what happened this week? Okay, well, let's see. Let's do the little life update. Grandpa went to the hospital this week. Grandpa's kind of a big important person in our life because we've been taking care of him for the last 20 years, and he's 94 now, and he was out there doing yard work as 94-year-olds do, and he decided to break some branches over his knee, and he's ripped his thin skin open and gave himself cellulitis, and so he's in there with an infection, and a lot of dementia is now showing up. So why this is kind of a life thing for us is that Grandpa's the inheritance we have coming, and we're supposed to inherit his house, which may end up being empty because he may have to go into assisted living. So our life could get a up. We could end up going to live in Grandpa's place. I don't know what's going to happen. Honestly, it's a toss up. But with Grandpa being in the hospital and the dementia showing more and more, like our lives are going to get changed quite a bit here. So what happens?
That's got to be rough. I mean, speaking of dementia, and I don't think my mom's got dementia, but I went to go see her because I have 6 brothers and sisters, and me and my brothers are the only ones that left the state of New York. Left me with my 3 sisters taking care of my mom, who's like 95.
Oh, Jesus. And
they're like, we got lives too. You guys moved away and you just kind of like left us with mom, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, what do you want me to do? Put my life on hold? I had an opportunity to move.
Right.
So last year is when I went to go see her, and it was bad. It was like stuff I was not prepared for. Like she'd wake me up in the middle of the night. Where's Daddy? I mean, like,
yeah,
Dad's been gone for 50 years, Ma. It was just rough. It was rough stuff.
I lost my dad to Lewy body dementia, so I know about the bad dementia. That's the worst dementia you can get. That's the one that Robin Williams committed suicide over because he knew he was going to completely lose himself. You lose yourself fully to Lewy body dementia. So I can sympathize with you on that because that's hard to see a loved one go through.
Yeah, I mean, and the other day she was like, "Have you ever been to my house?" And I'm like, "Yeah, remember last year I was there for a couple of months in New York." Yeah. So that's
getting older, and that's the career I live in. I hang out with 70 to 100-year-olds all day long at the elderly convalescent home. So I'm pretty apt to dealing with end of life stuff.
Yeah.
But on a positive note, I get to come home and play video games when I get off work, so it makes things better. So what we play this week?
Unless you played this week's game.
Unless you. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Nice segue.
Tell us about the game. Read your Wikipedia thing.
Centum. Centum is a point-and-click adventure game developed by Hack, the publisher, and published by Serenity Forge. The game was released on Nintendo Switch, Mac OS, and PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Windows, March 11th, as of March 11th, 2020.
Yeah, this is a brand new release. Okay, so he picked this.
This is the best part of Wikipedia. This was totally not inserted by anybody at Centum. Centum was generally received with mostly favorable reviews upon release.
They were broadcasting their 81s or 79s or whatever on Metacritic all over the place. But okay, so first let's see why we picked
81.
This. I don't even, just don't. Why we picked this? He picked this game. This is something I would pick because
fingers getting pointed already.
I'm actually playing through right now the entire Serenity Forge library, and I'm collecting it. I have literally probably like 20 pieces from the collector's editions and releases from Serenity Forge, and I've been playing a bunch of their games, and they've been wonderful. Like this year, Genesis Noir, which you can play on Game Pass, one of the coolest, most artistic games I've ever played. I just finished on stream As Dusk Falls, which is like a Life is Strange narrative game, was absolutely amazing. So like I've loved Serenity Forge games. So he sees this on the new releases and he presents it to me and I go, oh, yay! This is fantastic. What an excellent idea, Paul. What an excellent idea.
I mean, the trailer looked amazing.
What trailer did you watch? Because there was only 4 scenes in this entire game. What trailer? That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering what crossed his mind when he saw this. So
it just looked weird. It just looked weird and strange and very ominous, which is like right up my wheelhouse. You know, anything that's like that, just kind of like
it's advertised as horror, and I agree. I actually thought it looked cool too, but I didn't really look at it. I didn't watch any of the videos of anything. I didn't know what to expect. I just knew it was a point and click. And so he has such fond memories of the 90s point and click games. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So let me tell you how Centum plays, because it's pretty basic. It is a point and click visual novel style. There is some interactivity. Right. You only get basically 4 screens in the game for 4 chapters, and it's set in a room or outside on a playground in these 4 chapters, and you can interact with things in the scene. You can peek out a window, you can go look in the basement, but it all comes back to this central area where you have things to interact with and conversations, and you make conversational choices. And that is the extent for each chapter. And they throw in little things here and there. You can do a little bit of gaming. There's like you play tic-tac-toe, you drive a little race car game, you have kind of a pitfall type of game. There's a maze in it, you know, little things you can interact with, but the majority of the game is just talking and trying to understand what the F is actually happening in the game. So now
it plays it plays like a huge fever game, like a huge fever dream that you once had, and you don't know like basically what's going on. Like, and they don't pull any punches. They don't really explain it to you either. They just kind of like let you waddle around and strain and figure out things. And you wake up in a jail cell and these judges are there and they're just speaking in like parables. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
Oh yeah, no, it's nonsensical. It's almost nonsensical because yes, the words create sentences that seem to have a meaning, but then those sentences are paired with other sentences that just lose context. And I just start like, I don't know if it's my ADHD, but I kept trying to assign meaning to what was being said. And it just seemed like there was no meaning to it. Like it was just words. It started just becoming jumbled words and ideas that made no sense.
I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but it was extremely frustrating as far as point and clicks go. It was just like there was like, well, I looked out the window already. I looked in the rat hole. There's nothing in there. I'm talking about the jail cell. I go to the door, and you get sick.
He's describing chapter 1 here too. So this is chapter 1. Yeah.
And when you go to the door, you get sick. There's a game of tic-tac-toe on the floor that you can't play, and that's about it. And a bed, and you think you've exhausted everything to click on because those are the only things you can click on.
And then you do, and then you go to sleep, and then it gives you the nighttime version. Then you click on the stuff at nighttime version. And you have more conversation.
Is all freaky because then you start talking with these judges who obviously hold your feet. And they're like, do you want to leave? And you're like, yes. And they're like, we'll let you know. And then it goes back, and then you have a piece of chalk and you draw something on a wall, and
the
that
thing
comes to
talks to
life.
you, and it comes
Yeah,
to
and he
life, and it
starts
gives
talking
you
to you.
metaphors about life and gives you life advice and starts asking you who you are as an individual, like who you are deep down inside. And like you get prompted multiple times over the game. And here's a funny thing I got a trophy for, okay? Randomly. It asks you multiple times who you are, right? A warrior, an artist, I
Right.
can't remember the four things, okay? And it keeps popping up. And each time in the situation, I was like, I'm something different. So at the end of the game, all of a sudden this trophy pops up and it's like, you did not make any clear personality choice in your assessments. And I was like, oh, well, that's an interesting trophy to pop up. So I guess because and it comes back around in the end when it summarizes, whatever happened in the game. It starts telling you about your personality, and then I got that one where I just had no clear defined, personality assessment traits.
I stuck with artist all the way through.
I took artist too. I kept picking artist because I was always the artistic style. I was always that type of thing. And so it does ask you a lot of life. It's just out there, like the window. Okay, you can go to the window and you look out at the city. Okay, you do this in every single chapter, and it gives you prompts of like. I actually wrote them down just to show you how random it is. Okay, so it shows you the outside thing, and there's like 4 prompts to pick from, and you can say, there is no happy ending without an epic challenge to overcome. Okay, or you can say, the sun pouring its warmth over the city, how trivial. Or you can say, we all have moments when things feel easy. It's a pity it's so rare. Or you can say, my work gets done no matter the weather. I don't care if it's sunny or raining. And now what it really feels like, and that's just an example, is that when it comes up with all these choices, none of them matter. It's just random sentences to respond to something that you can make sense out of. You can find meaning in if you want it, but it's just so nonsensical. I couldn't hold meaning to anything. I couldn't understand what we were doing with this. And so that's the first chapter. Second chapter is kind of more of the same. And then the third chapter,
you meet the gray kid. Who
the weird you make a friend, like a demon friend or something.
And he's like do you want to trade? And you're like, yeah, sure, let's trade. And he's like, actually, you got nothing I want. So and then he just kind of
wouldn't let you out. You're trying to escape the room in each chapter that you're getting into with these conversations, trying to convince whoever's holding
you finally get out of the room, right?
Don't jump that far ahead. Wait, are you talking about the ending?
No. I'm talking about just leaving the cell.
Oh,
you
gotcha.
finally choose the right combination of words that mean nothing to the judges who finally let you out. And you get out and you wake up and you're in a bedroom. Now, the first thing you notice, I don't know if you noticed it because you took a picture of yours when you were in the bedroom and you sent it to me. The first thing I noticed was the poster on the wall was different.
Yeah, it changes in each thing, the background. Oh, yeah, I noticed that too in watching the streamers because I was lost constantly on knowing what to do. Constantly watching people on YouTube trying to explain, and they're lost too. I'm sitting there watching them screw around for 20 minutes, not understanding what to do with a mirror puzzle or with the maddening puzzles. We didn't even get to that crap yet. We can probably leave off on the details there. The maddening puzzles. So like. There's the one where you have a cube that makes noise. Okay, you have to adjust. You have to adjust the sensitivity on the cube to match something, but it doesn't explain anything to you. So both me and the streamers I'm watching are sitting there clicking these buttons, trying to change the frequencies, trying to understand. Literally, 10, 15 minutes of screwing with this and never figuring it out.
Cube's name is Adele.
Never figuring it out. It just didn't make any sense, and I ended up getting it finally when he explained it to me. He figured it out of all people.
I sent multiple screenshots.
But
it's funny what happens when you take a bunch of gummies and then you play a game like this.
And then the mirror puzzle, like that made no sense to either of us either. We were trying to figure that out, and like I'm watching YouTubers playing it too, and they don't have a freaking clue what's going on. It was just frustrating madness, just frustrating.
And they never explained what the cube was.
It was just some cube that made music and noise and horrible sounds, and
that was it.
It doesn't matter. It's just some fucking cube. Yeah.
It was just the cube. And it comes with you because you find it when you wake up in your room. You wake up in your room and you find it on the top of a bookcase, and it's like, oh, and I keep saying Adele. I know it's probably something different.
I wrote it down. It doesn't matter. Some stupid name for it.
So I just keep calling it Adele. Adele sings you a nice lullaby, but it doesn't actually play it, and it's just like Adele does this, and you're like, okay, well, let me get down from the top of the bookshelf. And then you get down there and you look out and it's like, oh, the city looks so pale. And then it gives you the option to just turn around and that's it. That's it for the window. And then
So
your cat is there and you start talking to your cat up until the point where, oh, yeah, talk about going on the computer and having to play games. How many times did you play that tank game?
a couple times. Oh, that was another thing. Yeah, they give you the tank game. There was another variation of different
If you
games.
read the email about tanks, you automatically played the game.
Right. This is going to get confusing, and people aren't going to understand any of the things we're saying whatsoever. This is us rambling nonsense about nothing that makes sense.
There's a computer in your room.
The whole thing's done on a computer. Like you can interact with it. You press the start button, computer comes up. It's got notepad documents on it. You have to interact with to solve the puzzles, and you get emails that you have to answer that are stupid as shit. And it's just more to do on a computer screen that gives you clues about what's happening in your reality or whatever.
Right. And there's games on it and stuff. And then I see it as like a multitude of excuses as to why you can't leave that room. Like you go to leave the room and it's like, I should really get to work. It's like, doing what? What am I working on? What is there to work on? I read every email, and then there's a fisherman's blog that you read from time to time.
I don't know what that means. I don't know. Every time you look out the window, something updates the fisherman's blog. I really just don't even care. Let's actually just get to chapter 3 where something actually happens and you have characters.
Let me just say that if you were on the computer and you clicked on the browser, one of the tabs was the fisherman's blog.
Oh, is that where it was?
It was had nothing to do with anything. It was just
nothing has anything to do with anything in this game, and I think that was part of the problem. This reminded me of we had to play Kentucky Route Zero, John and I, and that's actually revered as a very important game in the art gaming world, and that's fine.
Why?
It is. It's Why? Whatever. But I kept trying to assign meaning to that game, and you can't. You need to just suspend disbelief, pretend that nothing makes sense, and then roll with the punches that way, because that's the only way you can exist in this Centum game. Don't try and make sense of anything. The only time when it finally starts to come together and I feel like I'm starting to understand something is now it's chapter 3, which I keep mentioning because they actually have characters. All of a sudden you have 4 characters that you can interact with, and then they start talking, and I don't know if these are alternate personalities or whatever they are, but you have Valerie, I called him the Michael Jackson elf pirate because that's what he looks like. Apparently Valerie's a murderer, but he's a good person. We have the official man. The official man is faceless, but his face changes, whether it's bullet holes in the head or bleeding eyes. The official man shows up, and he's at the playground. This is chapter 3 at the playground, and he handles the official municipal business at the playground or whatever. You have Desmond, who's a vampire, who's like a psychotic, wide-eyed, crazy dude that he went through war trauma and he eats people. You've got 2B, which is like a little demon golem thing who's constantly talking about the rats. The tall man who's a grim reaper at night, and then Elaine who's like a aging emo chick. Like I don't know what any of these characters really have to do with anything.
Don't forget about Marmoset.
Okay, well, and then the main one, Tim, Marmoset, and that's like the inner child. I don't know. Like Tim is what matters in this entire game, and Tim goes by Marmoset. You only call Tim Marmoset. Fucking monkey. I don't know Tim, but see, this game made me so angry because I couldn't
tell.
I couldn't put meaning to anything. Why am I doing any of this? Why do any of these conversations matter? Like why?
None of them did. None of them made sense. I mean, I knew I was in for a doozy when my cat turned into a rotary phone, and
then you go to your computer to pull up your phone book so you can dial the cat rotary numbers.
So you had to call your mom, your brother, some weird guy, and
that showed like some family trauma. And that when that happened, I was like, okay, we're getting something here. We got family trauma, we got alternate personalities in reality. Right. Maybe we're creating something. I even messaged them. I'm like, I think we got something. I can latch on to something here. I can find some. Nope, it doesn't matter. It really didn't matter.
It doesn't end.
And what the conversations felt like the whole time, I was thinking, did AI write this? Was this actually made by designers, or did AI write this? And I'm just going to tell you right at the end now, this is an AI reality. Right. I'm just going to ruin the whole whatever. This
Yeah.
whole game is an AI reality, and those conversations, they felt like AI. I'm sure they were written by people, but it really felt just disjointed, and it's almost like they sat in a room and was like, "Hey, you pick a sentence. Okay, now I'll pick a sentence, and now you pick a sentence, and we'll put them together. Does it make sense? No, but we're gonna do that."
Let's go. Keep going. Doesn't matter because the
Jesus.
mouths move. The mouths move even though they're not talking, and it's your turn to talk. And the breathing, the breathing in and out. They have to move their whole body to breathe in and out. And you're just like, what is going on? Like, just have them. If this is a point and click, just let it be still. Don't let there be animation.
That's what you're complaining about?
Yeah, no, I mean, I just found like these little things like were just so stupid and like had no. There was just no meaning to the whole game, and I just never put two and two together. It got to the point where I was just like clicking X. I was just like, all right, let's just finish this conversation.
I
Just
got
get
so
to the end of the
irritated. I
conversation.
I had to look up the developer and check their website because I just wanted to see what how they present it on the website. Okay, so they have a quote that says, "It's really fun. It'll be even more fun when we can afford to have the fourth wall installed." And that's a quote from Fahrenheit 451. And then underneath it, they give a description of their game. Okay. In Centum, explore a mysterious world where reality is as fluid as the mind of its narrator. Presented as a long-lost game never released, navigate through a series of perplexing scenarios, each shrouded in uncertainty and enigma. As the game unfolds, players must grapple with the unreliable nature of the narrator's hints and guidance. Will you dare to confront the unknown and uncover the secrets within? Literally says here, it's just perplexing and uncertain and enigma and just whatever. I got that song running in my head. That don't impress me much.
Yeah.
Nothing about that. Like it felt like, yeah, you really did just pick randomness and nonsense. Like, I don't know.
And it all just didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense. The whole game didn't make sense. And I just didn't understand what to do next. So I just got towards the end, and that's where you started picking characters. The characters you started playing as. Like you got like 4 characters, right?
That's what I just went over. I told them all the names of them. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, those are also the characters in the actual scene, like the official man and Tim. I'm talking about the characters like when they showed up on the screen, the 4 shadows on the screen showed up, and
Yeah,
every
like
time,
a character select or whatever.
yeah, and you played as a different person.
Yeah, you got it from different perspectives. So in one view you were in Eileen's eyes, and another view you were in 2B's eyes, talking to Des. Like, you were just getting different perspectives of the characters interacting. And you did learn a lot about these characters, but it really didn't matter. Like, I thought I was.
It was like it was probably like the rough draft of what Inception was like when they first wrote down the movie. You know, it was like, no, just listen here, hear me out on this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
And this is getting us a physical release. It's already been advertised on VGP that they are doing a physical release for it, and pre-orders are open now, guys. And what sucks is that because I do have a complete Serenity Forge collection, I will order it, and I was gonna say I'm gonna get it when Serenity Forge does their sales, their Christmas sales and stuff like that. When I get the stuff real cheap, yeah, that's the only way I'm paying for
just
it.
To put that on the shelf, and never touch it again.
Yeah, I just did not enjoy playing this, and it was even worse to try and talk about and try and make any sense of it, to explain it to anybody.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
It really was hard to follow, and it was really hard to understand. And then you played games throughout that had no meaning. What was those meanings of the games where they were emulating?
That's what I said, with the car driving, the tank, the pitfall, the maze, it was just stuff to do.
The maze was kind of interesting because it was reintroducing different parts of the game when all you had to do was find 4 cats.
I don't even think you had to find the 4 cats. I think all you had to do was, you just had to get that cat that was in that one hidden door. That was really all it is. I found the cats anyway, but no, I wasted 40 minutes of that maze not understanding what to do, and it just pissed me off to find that there was just a hidden door right there that whole time. So, yeah. Just felt like padding. Let's make them lost in a maze and then realize, oh, it's just right there. I don't know.
And then you talk to the fisherman at the end.
I don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't want to talk about the game anymore. The whole thing's AI. You cross the Black River to get back to reality.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like the Matrix almost. You know?
Yeah, it was the Matrix. I'm done with the game.
Nothing was real.
Let's talk about something else that pisses me off.
Uh-oh.
Did you hear the Switch 2 got a direct?
And now it's time for gaming news.
Thanks, Craig. What do you want to talk about? Maybe the Switch 2?
Well, there's the only thing that we could talk about, and that literally is the only news I've heard, and that's the Nintendo Direct the other day.
Yeah.
Before we get into the Switch, what consoles did you own in your lifetime? Did you have them all? Did you get every console every time they get released?
No, because, well, when I was like 4 or 5, so I'm the youngest of, like I said, I'm the youngest of 6 siblings. So my oldest brother is like 23 years older than me. So when I was born, he was like 21 or 22.
Oh.
And I remember I was at his house, and he had bought the Atari Pong machine.
Nice.
And I was just fascinated that you could control a medium on your TV. I was just fascinated by this. And every time I went to his house, I'd spend hours just playing Pong, but I never owned it. It wasn't until later. My first console was the Intellivision, which was the one. So it was like, think of almost like PlayStation is to the Xbox now. So there was Atari 2600, which every single kid in the neighborhood owned, except for me. And there was Intellivision.
I had an Intellivision. I didn't have an Atari. My friend had the Atari. I had the Intellivision.
Oh, did you have the one with the voice?
I can't remember. We got it from a thrift store, and maybe it was either Intellivision or ColecoVision. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure which one, but I had it.
ColecoVision was far superior than both of those put together.
But I have played on both of them, I believe.
Sort of like, how do you explain it? Like today with the PlayStation versus Xbox, it's like, do you want really cool graphics, PlayStation, or do you want to join with a lot of people? There's way more users. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like the way Atari and Intellivision played out, was that there was Intellivision had these superior graphics that nobody had seen before, and Atari was garbage. But everybody bought Atari. So I was the only one. People would come to my house and be like, I couldn't trade games. I had to wait solely on games being bought for myself. Like I just, I couldn't, nothing, everything. And
that does suck, because you didn't know anybody that had one to share or compare
with. Had those plastic overlays and the disc. It didn't even have a joystick. But Mattel was killing it with the Intellivision, and then the Intellivision 2 with the
there
voice.
Was a sequel?
Yeah, there was an Intellivision 2 and an Intellivision 3.
Really?
There was an Intellivision 2, which was all white and smaller. It was almost like what we call slims today when they come out with a slim version. So the Intellivision 2 was way smaller, and it had voice control on it. And you'd play games like B-17 Bomber, and you'd hear these cheesy voices go, bombs away. And it would just... And it was just like, you'd be like, oh, wow, it's cooling. Or when somebody got out in baseball, you're out. Just these weird...
That's cool.
Horrible voices.
Oh, I'm sure it was digitized as hell, but I mean, I
go look online on YouTube and just look up Intellivision noises. But it was talking. Now the game was a medium where it was talking to you. And then Coleco came along, and I didn't have that, but my friend did, and it was far superior than anything everybody ever saw. But again, nobody bought it because the video game market had fallen. The bottom had fallen out of it.
Oh, that's right, with the crash in the 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's an ancient history lesson from Paul there on Intellivision and ColecoVision.
Those are the ones that I started with, and then it wasn't until NES came around that I bought another one.
You did get the NES?
Yeah. The NES.
That was my first console. Grandma bought it for me because my parents would not support video games. I've told the story before, but that was the only thing I had was an NES from my grandma, and my parents wouldn't even buy games for it. Like I had to save up my change from doing allowance basically, like for chores. And then once a year we'd go to a swap meet at the fairgrounds, and I'd buy, little games from other kids that were selling them. So that's all I had. And then my first actual console that I felt like I got a real experience with was the PlayStation 1. I had that big dramatic leap in between. And like I was 15 and a half years old. I got my first paycheck ever. And I told Mom, drive me to Kmart. I'm getting a PS1 right now. And then she took me to the comic book shop, and I bought Final Fantasy VII. And that's when I had my own money, and I started buying all the games. I had a big PS1 collection. So that was...
Oh, really? So you don't have it anymore?
I wish. My brother, when I went off to college, he decided to sell them for drugs. It was great because the
Oh.
games I had.
Memories,
Oh, the games
like
I
the
had.
corner of
had,
my
'cause
mind.
I still had quite a bit of stuff from back in my teen years, down in the basement. So if I still had that PS1 collection, it'd be worth quite a bit today.
You think so?
Oh
I
yeah.
think
Well,
there's too many of them.
no, I had one of the games I sold off. I sold JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for $550 a couple years
Oh
ago, and
wow.
that was one of my PS1 games.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Other than that,
but
the PS2. I pawned my fiance's ring for and bought the PS2, and that was about it. That's the only memorable consoles I really had, because PS3, PS4 is whatever, but that's about it. So
the only thing that happened with my NES one was the fact that we had a family that had moved here to America from Taiwan, and we made friends with him, and he had the Famicom. And
the actual
this
NES,
was before
Japanese.
the NES
Yeah.
was even in the United States, and people were
Yeah.
like, "This is what video games are," in Taiwan.
They were kind of cool looking too, little red and gray or whatever.
Yeah,
looking
and
Famicom.
I loved it. So when I bought the NES, I was a little disappointed. I was like, "What is this gray box?" Because it was different. The graphics were different,
Right.
Anyway.
I don't know. So then what this leads to is that we have a new console releasing. So the big thing was to hype this up with the Nintendo Direct the other day, and I anybody that's in the gaming world and it knows that it definitely got everybody talking. So talk about the Nintendo Direct and what you took from it.
So I was excited to see, because all we had was this like basic video of just them introducing on a graphical level what the new Switch 2 was going to look like. It had a bigger screen. It showed them expanding the Joy-Cons, and that they were black, and they didn't have the colored Joy-Cons as of yet. And that was all we had for about a few months, until they started sending out emails. Now, I don't know if I told you this. Did I tell you that I had signed up right away?
Yeah, you said you were going to go, or I was trying to talk you into going. You said you had gotten the invitation.
I got the invitation, but the email was very specific in saying, "Hey, if the person in front of you cancels, you'll have 2 tickets to go see the Switch 2 in LA." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So that's when I started scoping around to see who would come to LA with me. But they never emailed me again. So
okay.
I just assumed that nobody canceled. And why wouldn't you, to see a new console? I would imagine, that everybody would want to see this new thing. But
so what did they show at the Direct that would make it appealing or interesting to you?
It looks like an upgraded. It looks like what a Switch 2 would look like. It looks like an upgraded Switch. There's a bigger screen.
7.9
hard
inches.
drive. Yeah, there's a bigger hard drive. It holds
256 gigabytes.
Yeah, as opposed to the 8 gig. As opposed to the 8 gig that you did have. What else? There's a USB 3 mini port on the bottom and the top, so that you could plug a camera into it if you wanted to.
Yeah,
there's an added button. There's a button C now for chat, so you could talk to people while you're playing your game. A cute little feature, I will say, even though my voice sounds with disdain over this, you can just talk to people over the internet and be playing 2 separate different games.
Yeah, that's just party chat, but they do it with video party
it was just
chat.
Discord.
I saw how. Yeah, it's basically. I mean, you have your game up here, and then you can pull up other friends down below and see what they're playing and chat with them or whatever. I can tell you, I would never implement it. Probably not.
No,
once.
you don't think so?
I don't think I would do it unless I'm wondering if they're going to implement direct from console streaming or if it's still going to be a capture card type thing. But I don't know, because if they're going to have cameras available to be part of it.
They did mention that everybody flipped out because they were going to have, instead of physical games, they were going to have access cards where you type in a code and you buy the game and you get the box, but when you open the box, it's empty, and inside is an access card. An access code rather, and you put this code in and it allows you to download the game. It's almost as if you bought it digitally.
No, that was that
but
was
everybody
the way it was.
Yeah, everybody was flipping out about it, when in fact it was just for a couple of games. They had said they're doing a couple of games this way, only because they're too big to put on a cartridge.
Well, then explain Bravely Default, which is only 11 gigabytes.
Right. That was, I guess, that maxed out.
So
I don't know
no,
because
it's
they're
not
putting
that. So what this is going to be that they're getting rid of the code in a box thing, and that's where you'll get an empty case and a code to input, and there's no point to it because that's the stupidest thing in the world. But what they're doing is the 64 gigabyte limit is what the cartridge can hold, and they're releasing stuff like Final Fantasy Integrate, which is over 100 gigabytes. So
Right.
it gives you it basically becomes like a proxy disk that you put it in, you have to install it to your hard drive, and you have to have the card in there, but the full game is not on the card, and it won't be. And yeah, it's not for everybody. Thought it was going to be for every game, but
Right. Right.
but the fact that they're saying it's only for big games, but yet one of the first releases is Bravely Default, which doesn't need that,
Yeah.
is kind of ridiculous. So that's a
I
way
mean,
of them.
it's
shifting
also
over away
backwards
from physical.
compatible. That's another. It's backwards compatible.
Well,
all the way back
better
to,
should have been.
and it's GameCube. You can play with your GameCube on it, which is
They're going to
just
charge you for it. Yeah,
Well-
everything has a fee here too. Did you see that the
Yeah.
intro video, the Nintendo intro video that'll take you around and show you all the things? You have to buy that too.
Oh no, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, what is it called here?
uh,
The welcome tour. You have to buy the welcome tour to the Nintendo Switch 2. It's a paid game that you play basically.
Oh, which brings me to my next complaint. $80 per game, Josh.
Yep. Yeah.
$80.
$90 for physicals. Yeah.
Physicals that you don't even really own. I might add.
This is what pisses me off the most, and I'm going to rant for a second because this is what really irritates me is that this third-rate tech company that is constantly in the distant last when it comes to tech, when it comes to production money, when it comes to
always.
first-party AAA games, they're not the ones throwing $500 million on a game. They're making fucking Super Mario, which $100 million game tops maybe. I don't even know. This is me guessing.
Right.
Where the hell do they get the right to be like, we're going to set the new, because the industry has been waiting for this. Everybody thought Grand Theft Auto 6 was going to be the one that came out for the $100 price tag and was going to cause the jump into AAA titles being $90, $80, $90, $100. No,
Right.
fucking Nintendo of all companies is the one that says, hey, guess what, guys? You're going to start paying $80, $90 for our games. The freaking Nintendo first party games. Are you kidding me? That just pisses me off that they're the ones because now the whole industry can be like, look what Nintendo did, guys. Look what Nintendo did.
Well, if you buy the Nintendo Switch, Switch 2, if you buy it, it comes with Mario Kart World. So
yeah,
you're
pay
actually
extra.
You're
It
actually
doesn't come
getting,
with it. You have
I
to
thought
buy
it came
pay
with it.
extra.
That was what people
No.
were saying because
Nope. It's $79.99. That's $80, just like you said, $80.
I thought it
You
came
can buy
with
the
it.
bundle. You can buy the $500 bundle and get it included.
Oh, maybe
with,
that's what I read.
$20 discount or whatever. But no, nothing's included. They're charging you for everything. Everything they can charge you for, Nintendo is charging you for.
And Mario Kart World, to be honest with you, is an open world game. So basically, it's Need for Speed, just with Mario. So it's open world, Mario Kart World, which looked pretty cool. It looked like you could add. It looked like there was more.
Yeah, and how often do you get so excited that you just can't wait to get home and spend hours playing Mario Kart? Is that something that hypes you up? Are you going to play Mario Kart for weeks and weeks for 4 hours a day because you just love it so much?
Mario Kart is good when you have a bunch of friends over.
Exactly. It's a
or
casual
like Super
game.
Smash Brother. Yeah,
Casual.
Super Smash Brother.
Nintendo is a casual freaking company. They do not
It's-
they don't get premium prices on their bullshit.
But they will. But they will, and people will buy it. Can I tell you that so one of my daughters who was really sick for a long time got a Make-A-Wish, right? And she wanted to go to Disney World, right, in Florida. So we went there, and we got there, and she asked that her grandparents come. And so I'm there with my father-in-law, and he's a business owner. And I said to him, I said, where do you get the balls to just be like $120, one person, one day? That's it, one park, $120. And he said they do it because they set the price and people pay it.
Yeah, as long as you keep paying it. And
that's
Nintendo
the only reason.
fanboys,
So
which
there
are right
you
up there
go.
with Disney adults, in my opinion,
So
are
people will keep buying fucking
gonna keep
useless
buying it.
Pokemon games. My boss is gonna kill me. Useless Pokemon games.
there's plenty of Nintendo apologists out there defending $80 and $90 games and pointing out that back in the 90s that's what they cost. And guess what? I wasn't buying them then, and neither were my parents. So shut
and
the
plus,
fuck up.
I can Photoshop too. So you know what? I don't believe it. I don't remember it, so I don't believe it.
No, I know the Nintendo 64 games did get up there like $79. I do remember that, but it's like I don't care. Like I quit apologizing for these companies. Like I don't need you defending this corporation that's pulling this crap on the gaming industry.
Yeah, and it I don't know, but there is a part of me that wants it, Josh.
I have noticed that I'm
so bad.
I converted. I was an apathetic Nintendo sometimes enjoyer. I'm now a
Yeah.
Nintendo hater. I am a Nintendo hater. I have no desire for the Switch to. I went ahead. You know what I did yesterday? I went and grabbed my first-party Switch games because I'll never play them anyway. I have no friends to play with, and I don't care about them. And I traded them into GameStop. Or no, I was going to. I was driving to GameStop to trade them in. What I did was post them online to my game group, but I sold them for $110 instead of trading them in for $75. So yeah, I sold all my first-party Switch yesterday.
Instead of getting 10 cents on the dollar at GameStop.
Well, I didn't care. I wanted to pre-order Expedition 33, so that's how I paid for it. I got $110 for the games as I was driving to GameStop. Got it in my PayPal. Went to GameStop, bought it instead. Yeah, I don't have any more first-party Switch because my Switch was an indie machine anyway. I used it to play a bunch of cheap indie games on Switch Digital, so that's mainly what it was.
That's cool. I mean, I like my Switch, to be honest with you. I'm not a Nintendo hater. But I'm also not an apologist for Nintendo.
That's what I'm calling them now. You Nintendo apologist. All right. Well, how about next in 2 weeks? Did you agree with what I was presenting as a possible game in 2 weeks?
Yes, I started it.
Did you start it?
Yeah. Hold on 1 second.
So.
No More Heroes 3, which kind of goes against my little belief system of I don't play games at 3. I always
I know. I know.
I always started at the beginning.
Either.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay.
No, I haven't. I never.
I always started at the beginning because I want to know the lore. It was the same thing with Uncharted. Like I couldn't play Uncharted 4 that everybody was talking about until I played the first 3 because I just wanted to know what was going on. Like I
get it. We're gonna miss out on a lot from 1 and 2. Here's the reason why I'm doing it though. We just did a game for the Serenity Forge collection that I'm doing, but I actually collect Suda 51 and Grasshopper Studio games too, and that's who made No More Heroes the series. That's who made Shadows of the Damned, which I just streamed and was amazing. That's who made Lollipop Chainsaw. That's who made Silver Case 2425. Like all these games that I've already enjoyed, but their most popular series, No More Heroes, never even played it. So I just figured we'll just jump into the PS5 release of No More Heroes 3. It's a big open world game. It's goofy as hell. I already know it's over the top weird because
it is kind of goofy.
It's Suda 51, and he's a crazy creator and designer. So we're gonna play that 2 weeks. We're gonna try and put a dozen hours or so into it and see what we can figure out in that open world.
All right, sounds good. And then I'll update you in a couple of weeks on how my dishwasher installation went.
He did man work today, you guys. I was real proud of him because I can't. I can't fix or repair anything. He was down there.
When you own houses your whole life, let me rephrase that. When you own crappy houses your whole life, you learn how to fix things quick because you don't have the money to pay people to fix it for you. So you learn these things. And one of the things I've done a bunch of times was replace dishwashers. However, I've never replaced a dishwasher in California. You see, in California, kids, let me tell you, everybody has a garbage disposal.
Yep.
In New York, if you have a garbage disposal, you're rich.
Really?
Nobody has one. So I was like, here we go. This is going to be fun because there's extra tubes for the fucking garbage disposal. And I pulled it all out, and it turns out when you buy, just like Nintendo did with the Switch, when you buy a dishwasher, you have to buy the plug separate. You have to buy the hoses separate. They don't even, the electrical gang box that you normally would see in an outlet doesn't come with it. You have to buy that separate. I spent an extra.
It's pulling a Nintendo on you. It is. They're just gonna market every single piece you need.
Who does this? Why is this the standard? Why is this the standard? No. Why is this that way?
That's what companies do. They want to nickel and dime you on everything.
I don't know. Anyway, that's my rant. That's what grinds.
All right. You go do your man stuff. Happy Friday. I'm going to play Monster Hunter Wilds all night because I'm so glad I'm done with this freaking Centum game. Oh, my God. Hated every second of it. Peace out, people.
See you later, guys.